Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlicker shills, dead slaves, first peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks. I'm a useful idiot. Welcome. And today let's go to Israel and the United States and talk about this new Israeli aid package that has finally been finalized. And I've done a video on the negotiations going on before because, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel has been demanding certain points to be included in this new arrangement, as well as a number. And he was demanding somewhere around $50 billion over 10 years. And of course, that's just a tactic. You got to aim high and then hopefully get something a little lower, maybe around 45 billion. But he's only going to get somewhere around 40 billion over 10 years, 3.8 billion a year. And before they were talking about 3.1 billion a year, which is a number they've used previously. But now it's going to be 3.8 billion a year, but also the related costs of the Israeli missile shield system, which have been part of a separate budget, will now be rolled into this. And there's a number of points about this that are pretty interesting, the way it's finally played out, because Netanyahu is going to have to go back to his constituency and show how this is a good deal for Israel. And he was scampering to get this deal done because of the uncertainty in the future of having either Hillary or Trump in office, although it seems like both Trump and Hillary are now catering to the Israeli lobby, so it really seems like a moot point. But he felt like he wanted to get this done now. But one of the things that's interesting about this is some pundits are pointing out the fact that Obama is getting his revenge now against Netanyahu. And for one thing, I'm not really sure that Obama wants to get revenge because he's been one of the most supportive administrations of the U.S. I mean, in the U.S. of Israel, even compared to previous administrations. And maybe Netanyahu and Obama haven't gotten along personally that well, but the actual substantive support of Israel by the United States has continued and blossomed under Obama. So there's really a lot of misinformation out there about the way Obama has treated Israel. But it's been a good talking point for people who want to be critical. But the things that are in it that Obama seems to be getting a jab at Netanyahu, perhaps for circumventing Obama and going direct to Congress to make his case. But first of all, he's cut off Israel from any supplemental packages of aid during those 10 years. So previously they would get a set amount, but then they could also lobby Congress for more additional money. But he's cutting them off from that. And then he's also cutting Congress out of the process because of that. And so in that sense, I do think there's a relationship between Obama getting a little bit of revenge because it's cooked into the arrangement now that since there will be no supplemental budgets and aid given to Israel, Congress will be taken out of the process. But there is a clause in there about if there is a war, then Israel can ask for more aid. And so it'll be interesting to see if there are situations that they choose to characterize as wars in order to ask for more aid. Plus the fact that once there's another president in office, then obviously Netanyahu or whoever is in office in Israel can renegotiate parts of this. But one thing to bear in mind about this Israel aid as well, too, is it's not necessarily normal kind of aid, and a lot of people clamor about the fact that we're going to give 40 some odd billion dollars to Israel, and it's a very rich country, and we need to question our foreign aid in the United States anyway. But one of the things about this aid is that a predominant amount of it needs to be spent with U.S. companies and U.S. Weapons manufacturers. So almost all of it goes back to the U.S. And in fact, more so now because one of the other clauses in this new aid package is the fact that all the money now has to be spent with U.S. companies. So this is going to have a huge effect on the Israeli arms industry, which has been completely subsidized by the United States and these aid packages, and created a huge elite of small families that control the military-industrial complex in Israel, and also have a lot to do with their policies. And so anyway, it will have a huge effect on that. And the United States already uses the wars in the Middle East as a laboratory, and Israel is an example of U.S. weapon systems working in the field. So it helps sales, but that also works the same for Israeli arms industry. They also use these live exhibitions in order to sell their arms. But this, like I say, this will have a huge effect. So we're going to see the Israeli arms industry step up their game and sell to more and more countries. And they already sell to a lot of countries that have dubious human rights records, kind of the same way the U.S. does. But there's such a crossover between the United States intelligence and military and these missile systems more than ever before in this new age that they're still inseparable, the United States military and the Israeli military in the end. But one of the other things this stands for, this new Israeli aid, is it says there are no conditions. So in other words, Obama has made it clear that he really doesn't care about Palestine. The Palestinian issue is not an issue of his, and the illegal settlements will go on, the apartheid will go on, the occupation will go on, and there will be further bloodshed and further wars in the future in that region. And so that's fairly clear from Obama now leaving office and arranging this. And I also agree with Colonel Wilkerson commenting on this Israeli aid package and talking about the fact that it's totally political now. There's really nothing strategic about it. There's really no need for the United States, for our national security reasons, to be this supportive of Israel. And in fact, there's a liability there having Israel as a strategic partner, and we've seen the results of it. Even though there are a lot who would argue this point or choose not to see it, but this is how we end up at this bottom line in this region. So there we have it. Israel gets its $40 billion over 10 years, and Obama gets to circumvent Congress, and now the Israeli arms industry is on its own. And I've put some good links below about this topic, so check them out. Thanks. I'm Useful Idiot. Don't you be one too.